Hi everyone, thanks for being here with me today. I'm going to talk about something which we all deal with every day, but we never think about it. Let's say you're looking at a dashboard and based on that you're coming up with some decision and later you realize that something is really off. The poor data quality is going to cost us more, not just the money, not just the time, it's beyond that. And today we are going to learn how to master on the data quality to overcome all the limitations. Before we move on, I just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself and to share how I got here. I'm Megala Sinnaraj. I'm lead data quality analyst, engineer at Core Strategics. So I have over 20 years of experience in IT industry, worked across various domains like banking, finance, retail, and automotive. I've started my career as an engineer and moved into technical lead and later on to architecture. And over the time, I was more curious about the data. And it's really fascinating for me to see how the data is getting evolved and transformed over the time. And this curiosity led me to think about more about the quality of the data. And using that, I always feel that something is really wrong and we need to go back and correct it. And that's what originally brought me into data quality engineering, and here I am today to share some of what I have learned all the way. Before I get on to the topic, I just want to share a quick story. It's about my grandma's recipe. So everybody over here would have tried that one traditional recipe but never got it right. For me, one such recipe is my grandma's chicken curry. This recipe has been passed my grandma to my mom and then my mom to me. When I tried, I never got it right. Maybe I stirred few seconds less, or it could be for her a pinch of spice, could be for me a tablespoon of spice. Or it's just that her special touch, which she cannot add that in her written recipe. That same thing happens with the data too. When the data transforms from one layer to another layer, or from one system to another system, and if we keep missing all those small details, we will start losing the flavor of it. That's called source of truth. And this story has taught me a lesson. Best result comes from making sure that you're following the entire preparation and how you're doing it. And my grandma always says that, check your ingredient before you start. Because once you get onto the pot, then definitely it's hard for us to fix. And that's what we are going to explore today. How we are going to make sure that the data is accurate and consistent and with high quality at different stages. And here is the agenda which we are going to talk about today. First, we will try to explore the business impact of having poor data quality and the cost of data errors. And then we move on to understand how we are going to switch from traditional pipeline validation model to continuous layered validation. And the third one, we will think about how to build the team with the right skill set. So that way we can build a robust system. Let's start with the foundation. Why data quality matters for everyone. So the first example is about the duplicate transaction. One fine day you just saw the dashboard and you see a huge spike. You think that, wow, the sales are doing so good. Then what happens? Should we think about restocking our inventory? But the reality is, these are just false positives. The second example is going to be just opposite of that, where the data is missing from one particular region. So here what happens? Should you get panic thinking that the sale is completely broken and your store is going to shut down? But that's not the case. It's just that you missed the data and you didn't receive it on a time. And both of these examples, whatever I've given here, is just about the data quality issues. It's all because of the poor data quality. You actually wasted your time, wasted your effort and money, and it's beyond that. And you all still think that is something related to just to the organization? No, it's not. The scope is really big and it's massive if something really goes bad with the data. This is again one more example where we are seeing a global impact here. You all remember last year July, I still remember that when I opened my laptop, my working laptop, and I saw that it's completely frozen with that blue screen. I was thinking, what's going on? Is my old laptop really giving up? Then I was like, okay, it's time for me to get a new laptop. Then I realized, no, that's not the case. There's something really bad happening and it's going to be a huge, massive impact. This is just one software update which has messed up everything. It was a massive disruption, not just one sector. If you think close enough, you know how many sectors got impacted. There were so many articles about it. There were so many emergency services that completely down. And there was a lot of doctors who were cancelling all the appointments because they couldn't get the patient information. And retail, they couldn't do any sale because of point of system is completely down. And banking, they couldn't do any trading. It's just because something really bad with the pipeline. This second example, which you all could relate, one more. We tried logging into retail and we just have something on your cart, right? And you keep looking for a price in order to buy that item. And you started noticing that there's a huge price drop. That item's supposed to be $20 or $30, all of a sudden showing $1. It's time for me to buy. I'm super happy now. I'll just go and buy it. But the thing is that for the organization, it's a financial loss. It's just one item. It's going to be many items, right? So like that, the organization is going to lose its revenue. But think the other side of it. Until now, you might think that it's not going to impact the customer. But the other fact of it, there's the same item, you have it in the cart. Let's look at the different picture now. And this item, you saw it for $10, now it's showing $100. You would have got disappointed, right? Because you couldn't complete your wish list now. And now it's loss of opportunity for that organization. It's not just with the revenue. So it's going to, you are going to see the ripple effect of having that bad data quality. Before we get on more about how to build a technology in order to handle that, let's level set the terminology. So in retail, or it could be any industry, there'll be so many actors interacting with the data. So here there are a few. Let's start with data producer. In retail, data producer is going to be your point of sale. And then all the data will get onto the pipeline. So there will be data engineering team who actually take care of processing the data either through streaming process or through batch process. And the entire data will get to the consumer. And it's not just one transaction. There will be a million of transactions coming across millions of stores which will get onto this pipeline. And you will get hundreds of SKUs, right, getting lined up here. And there will be so many consumers looking for some critical information out of this data, whatever is lined up. There are a few here. So finance, maybe you might look for financial forecast. Marketing, maybe for the campaign, to attract the customers. Supply chain, it's about the inventory, right? You have to stock up the inventory based on the customer needs. These are few consumers who actually get interested on this data. Now we spoke about the general, how it's getting interacted, people are getting interacted with the data. Now it's all about how we are going to handle this, manage this complexity. So that's why we are following a 3-tier architecture. This is called medallion architecture. If you guys are into that data bricks and everything, you will know about this. So the first layer is going to be landing or ingestion zone. Let's say that you're walking into a retail store and you like the product. You're going to buy now. You looked at your price and you're walking towards the point of sale and you're swiping your credit card and you'll get a receipt. For you, It's just that number matters, right? You just look for the price. But actually, that receipt will hold lot of information. So it would say, when did you buy, where did you buy, how many items did you buy, for how much, what is your payment method, whether it's a credit card or a debit card. So it will have lot of information. Now since we spoke about the consumer, right? So let's say they are looking for a specific information. Do they really need to scan each and every message? No, it's really not, right? Because it's not just one transaction, it's going to be million of transactions. It's going to take lot of time and it's going to be an expensive process for them to scan each and every message. That's why in this region, in this zone, we are going to flatten the data. When you're flattening the data, you're going to get the information and put that onto a specific domain. If it's related to payment, then it goes to the payment table, item to the item table. So like that, you will categorize it based on the domain. Then comes the transformation zone. Now we have prepped the data, right? Now we have to think about how we are going to apply the business rule in order to get the good insight so that the consumer can actually build their analytical solution. That's what happens in the transformation zone. And the next one is going to be the consumption zone, where you can do all the aggregation, and this aggregated data is going to help you out in order to build the dashboard and the report using that information. Now we understood about the zone and everything, right? Now I am to the topic. The interesting part of this particular session is going to be understanding how to have the data in a better way or represent it in a better way with high quality, reliable and being consistent. And that's an approach to it. Everything has a secret, right? So now it's about modern data quality validation model. So what this will do, this will build you or give you a trust to your entire data and pipeline. So modern data quality is not about fixing data towards the end of everybody has been consumed it, right? It's about building the trust in the data lifecycle. But now you all might think, then what the organization was doing before, that's what we are going to see now. So in the traditional data model, again it's on the big data pipeline. Everything will be done towards the end of the pipeline. It's really slow, right? Because think this way, consumers still waiting for the validation check to be done in order to get the right data or the clean data. That's going to delay the entire process. And the next disadvantage of following the traditional model is that if you find something wrong with your pipeline, you have to wait and rerun the entire pipeline. Now again, the consumers still have to wait. Now it comes about the cost perspective, right? It's going to be really expensive because if something gets broken, you have to take time to figure out where exactly it got broken, because we have seen different layers, right? It's not that easy to track that one missing item or one missing transaction. So it's going to be really hard. So with this, we can understand that there are so many disadvantages of using the traditional model. Like it could delay, we have to rework on everything, and it's going to be completely inefficient. But how can we come over? So this gives you an answer. So the modernized data validation. So here, we will continuously monitor the data at different levels. The first level is going to be data quality validation, second one is going to be the code quality, and the third one is going to be high level metric validation. Again, we are going to see everything in detail now. So this particular data quality validation is going to have two methods. The first method is going to be rule-based validation. So you have specific rules defined and integrated to the pipeline. And this specific rule will take care of checking your data to see whether it's consistent or reliable. Again, the goal of this particular rule-based validation is to make sure that you are running the data pipeline as efficiently, but at the same time, the business team is able to get the data accurately on time without missing SLA. And this rule-based, everything is rule written. Everything is written in either it could be a table or it could be a file, and you can embed that in every layer of your pipeline. And we are going to see that with few examples now. So layer 1, the ingestion layer. So the first thing what we could do, we have to think about the duplicate transaction. Why? Because the producer, let's say their system is broken. then there are chances of sending duplicate transaction. Or it could be based on a streaming platform. Let's take Event Hub. It has its own delivery semantics, right? So it could generate the duplicate because of that. So there are high chance of getting duplicates in your layer 1. So if that is the case, now how do we handle it? So now we have to think about how we are going to remove. So we can add a validation check to remove it. But there is another or additional way of doing this. You can add a monitoring tool to it. Maybe it could be Datadog or it could be Dynatrace, which actually take care of monitoring the entire pipeline to make sure if there is any duplicate, and if there is a duplicate, you just do a record level quarantine. Still you have those other messages available and going to pass through the pipeline. Just that duplicate alone will get dropped. Now we comes to layer 2. We remember that, right? We do all the transformation and everything. Let's say that something is really wrong with the transformation. Then because of that, we started getting all those missing values or the null values, which is again a critical thing. For us, this might look as if it's just a null value, just missing it, right? It's okay. But actually, that's not the case. It's going to skew up your entire system. If consumers try to pull in the information, you're never going to get that information in your dashboard. The system is going to keep spinning. So definitely this is again a critical issue, right? So now in this case, you can still quarantine. But in this, since it's being critical, you're going to do a batch level quarantine. You'll quarantine the entire, whatever transaction you have got for that particular hour or that 30th minute, you're going to quarantine everything to the quarantine table. This is called batch level quarantine. Once that is done, again you can, using those monitoring tools, you can attach your ServiceNow embedded to your, to your issues, and you can start sending all those ServiceNow tickets so that team can pitch in and try to figure out where it's actually went wrong, because it's not a simple thing, right? It's not a record level. It's going to be a batch level quarantine. So you're going to start missing all the information for that particular batch. Then comes the final layer, the consumption layer. Once every transformation, everything is done. Now, it's all about the integrity, right? You should not see any orphan records. All your parent-child relationships are supposed to be maintained. There should not be any item without a transaction or payment without an item. Can never happen. But if it happens, this would help us to trigger that alert, asking team to take a look. You might think, what is going to create an impact, right? It's just simple checks. But that's not the case. Let me say an example. I just got an item, okay? Maybe let's say for $20. Then I just didn't like it, I just want to return it. I'm just walking towards the store asking them to return because I was received. So I just went there and asking them to return. Then they said that they're not able to locate my transaction. I was like, really? And they asked me to talk to the customer service. I had to call them, tell them, talk about it, and struggle for a week. And then later, they might give me a solution. But actually, it's just the system issue, it's just the code or the data issue where we have missed that integrity check. So when it comes to us, that's when we start realizing that it's not just going to impact the organization, it's going to impact every individual who is buying or is going to get things or whatever they are doing. It's going to highly get impacted because of all these data issues. Now we are moving on to the second method. So the rule-based is explicitly you are defining some rules. So that you are making sure that you are catching all the known issues. But when it comes to observability, it's about it's like not all the problem is predictable, right? Sometimes there will be unexpected spike or anomalies. If that is the case, observability is the one who's going to help us out. So it's going to be a pattern based. Just to recap, the old one is a rule based, right? So this is going to be driven completely by a pattern. So you're going to have a historical data or a baseline where you always go back and check how the data is performing. That's what this observability will do. Now the rule based is about it's about catching all the issues what you already know. But this one is like what you didn't expect. And together it's going to complement the entire system by providing more confidence. And in observability, it's all about looking at the historical, I said, right? So now let's take an example. About thinking about what would be the limitation, why we have to go for observability, and what is the difference between both again. So here, let's say observability is about validating everything on the data what we receive. But let's say we are missing complete information from a store. Then this won't be helpful, right? Because you need that historical data. If you're not even getting data from a particular location, it's never going to work. That's why we should start with rule-based validation and make it as essential, and then go to the observability. Now observability, let's again, I will go with my favorite retail example. In retail environment, when it comes to October, it's all about Halloween candy. But when it comes to November, it's all about Thanksgiving shopping. So using this observability, there are two approaches to this. So using that historical monitoring within observability, you can understand what item they're going to buy more, which is going to sell really fast, and how we are going to manage the inventory. And the second way is the trend analysis, where you can look for the pattern and you can predict the customer behavior. That's what we do for Thanksgiving, right? We want to understand when the customer is going to walk in, it's going to be a week before the Thanksgiving or the day before the Thanksgiving, so that you can build the inventory. It's not just about that, even the staffing part, so that you can attend the customer and then you can build that relationship with them. And there are so many tools available for this on the market. And one of them is the QGrid, which is our in-house tool. We have it, it's been built out by our organization, and you can embed that into your pipeline, and you can keep monitoring the data. Now we spoke about the first model, right? So it's all about the data, we know that, and it's going to make sure your data is accurate, and it's going to help us to identify the patterns and everything, the behavior of the data, that's what I should say. Now comes the second part of it. It's not just about the data, right? Sometimes the code issue will also trigger data issue. Let's see how. So this is, again, we are using the same big data pipeline. Now let's say that we are applying some complex transformation here, and if something really got broken now. Sorry, that's fine. We all need a break. So again, in the big data pipeline, right? So when it comes to code quality, it's about the code which actually got broken. But again, the goal of this is to maintain that correct transformation so that you won't introduce a new data issue. And we are going to talk about with few examples. So let's say that we have a transformation logic, okay? So now there is something called item type. It will say what kind of transaction had happened. It could be sale, it could be refund, or it could be payout. So let's take a few examples. Sale, it means that it's a positive revenue for the company. But when it comes to refund, you're just giving out that, right? So it's going to be a negative. And when in case of payment, it's slightly twist in that, where your quantity, because you're still making a transaction, so your quantity will be positive, but your amount will be negative because it's an outflow. For this transformation, if you miss out something, let's say that for sales, you're showing it as a negative value, then it means you lose some money, right? And same thing with the return. Just the flip of the sign would completely change the meaning of it. So it's still a transformation issue, right? But there are high chances of making a mistake in the transformation is going to impact your data. So that's what we are going to handle using this code quality. So this code quality is going to run towards the end of the pipeline. Once all your data got processed, that's when you start making sure that all the transformation has been done right. So it can be an asynchronous process, and it can run in parallel with your data pipeline. And there are two ways of doing this. One, you can create your own synthetic data. If you have very good knowledge about what kind of data your system holds, you can create your own data, right? And you can send that and to your data pipeline, and you'll get some output of it. And if you have your expected output for the synthetic data already ready, you can compare with your expected output with your actual output, and if it's going to show a difference, then it means there is an issue, and it's a consistency issue, right? Somebody has to fix it. And the other way of doing this is, You can build, the data quality engineer can build an complete automation, and they can make sure that they are applying all this transformation from their side. So the same data is going to flow into your pipeline, let's say product data, because we always try to do with the real-time data, right? So it will go through the big data pipeline, and parallelly it will go through the automation pipeline as well. So both the pipeline is going to give some result, right? Now we are going to compare these two results and see whether data is consistent or not. So again, it's based on your project need and how much data you're going to process, and based on your transformation, you can always pick one of it. Now comes the third part. So we spoke about the data, we spoke about the code, the transformation and everything. Now what this would do? So until now, we are thinking about processing record by record, right? Looking for any data error, or it could be for transformation. Let's say we are going to run a detailed validation now. How much time it's going to take for us to get the result? If the consumer wants the data immediately, within 30 minutes, let's say, a 30 minutes batch running, and you want to get the dashboard information in 30 minutes, then they have to wait, right? So how can we avoid that? And this will give you a solution. This is called high-level metric validation. And in here, we'll just summarize the data. We just don't go for record level. How can you summarize? Maybe for a particular POS date, how many transactions happened? How many items did we sold? So all this information can be summarized, and you can send it again to a monitoring. It could be Datadog or Dynatrace. And here you can see two different cloud, right? How can we relate to that? So here, another additional advantage of doing this, you can do cross-system or cross-cloud platform validation as well. So let's say the producer is in Azure and you're in AWS, being a consumer, or it could be a streaming, you are in AWS. Now both the application or both the cloud platform, whatever application they have, they can send all the summarized information from their system to the monitoring tool, to the Datadog. So on the Datadog, you can create an alert, you can compare the logs, and if there is something really wrong, then you can send the ServiceNow tickets, right? So the team can immediately take a look at it instead of waiting for a longer time to get the result. And this can be completely automated. Just that you have to just spend that 1% of cost or effort to build that new pipeline to send all this aggregated information. But still you're going to get the 99% of confidence. That's what we all need, right? That's the trust of the data. And another advantage is you can isolate the issue. Let's say we have three different systems as we initially saw it in the example, right? Point of sale, real time, and streaming. Let's say different cloud platform. Now every system has sent the information to the Datadog. Now we are started seeing difference between POS system and the real-time system. Then what does it mean? Then something wrong happened between either POS pipeline or your real-time streaming pipeline. Now the batch processing, their pipeline is all good. They can be happy. They need not worry about it. So this way you can isolate the complete issue, and we will be able to figure out which particular system is actually failing. So that's what it's going to help us out. Now let's think about how this modern validation method is going to benefit us. It's not about just the data, not about the quality. It's about how fast the business can operate. So these are some key benefits which we are going to talk about now. The first one is a bit quicker insight, right? So that you need not wait for longer in order to get the clean data. So the data analyst, data scientist, everybody can get the data, get the information quicker, and they can trust it. The second one is about efficiency. So the data engineer need not spend lot of time in figuring out which particular layer it got failed or which system it got failed. They need not do that entire analysis. Now so that they can invest their time, instead of doing that, they can invest their time to build the new capabilities or invent something new. The third one is going to be confidence. How nice to see that all your dashboards shows the same value. You'll feel so good, right? You'll feel so confident about the data, and the leadership can take the strategic decisions. The final thing is about foundation. Everything is about AI, right? So now, whatever information you're going to send it to the AI, that's what you're going to get it from your analytical solution. So we have to make sure that we are building that solid foundation by having the right data. Now we all understood how to implement and what are the benefits, but it's not just that, right? How can we have that knowledge shared within the team and how to build the team? So these are some key roles available in the any technical project, right? The first one is the data analyst, who actually looks the business side of the data. So they look at the dashboard, they look at the report. If something is really off, they are the one who is going to pinpoint, say that, hey, here something is really bad. So someone has to take a look at it and it's going to impact the customer. The second person is going to be data engineer, who is going to actually build the pipeline, move the data from A to B to C, and they make sure that they're applying all the transformation, making it reliable, making it scalable, so that you can get the data right on time. Now here comes the data quality engineer. So they are the one who's going to bring everything together, and it's an emerging role. So they should have both domain and engineering expertise. So they are the one who is going to automate the process, build everything, adding all the validation check, and making sure you're building the monitoring so that the team need not log in every day to look for issues. They can quickly get an alert, and they know everything. When we say everything, it's about the data and the pipeline both together. When we talk about data, it's just the data. Data engineer, just the pipeline. But they bring everything, data and the pipeline together. AI is a very big topic and it's a vast one, right? But still, we'll just cover a few things about it. It's going to give you high-level information like how can we integrate this to the AI, the entire automation framework we just spoke. So these are some critical stages in your project, right? The first one is going to be the requirement. So the AI, if you embed that to your system or the automation process, it will actually read through the requirement and give you a baseline version. How nice to have something before you start. So you need not build anything from scratch. The second one is kind of code checking. Where some changes, the DE team is going to, data engineering team is going to keep making changes. If that is the case, this AA will help us to find out which are the high risk area, error prone area, so that the data quality engineering team can focus more on that and build that automation and everything and all the validation checks around that instead of investing that time on all the other issues which is really not that critical. And finally, the result is going to give you a nice pretty dashboard, right? Where you can look for all the information and you can improve your entire test coverage process by understanding the pattern. So now we are going to talk about the key takeaways for today. So data quality engineering or data quality is about building everything embedded into your pipeline, making sure that you're validating the data, not just at the end, but throughout the pipeline, from ingestion, transformation, all the way to the consumption. And the second, it's about the code quality. It's not just about the data. Even your pipeline, whatever transformations you're going to apply, we have to make sure that we are applying the right transformation so that you can get the right insight and it can be completely asynchronous. And the third approach we covered is about the high level metric validation. It's about cross-code validation. You're going to summarize the data, no need to do record level validation, everything nice and sweet. Now the data quality engineer, about that role, how you can build the team with a strong quality mindset. And finally about the AA, how you can integrate your data quality validation check. Again, by end of the day, it's not about, the quality isn't about the process, it's just the mindset. It's not about getting the data. We have to make sure that the data is telling you the right story. And whatever check you're going to add is going to give you a lot of value when you go for analytical solution. If not everything, just remember three things. Think early, think proactively, think quality. Thank you everyone for your time. And before I close the session, I just want to take 2 more minutes to talk about our organization. We are from Core Strategics and we are a digital and data service company. We are offering so many different services, as you see here, AI strategy, data and insight, product development, and platform modernization, and there's so many clients getting benefited out of solution. So if you can think about resonating or relate something with your project, whatever I spoke about it today, and you're trying to modernize your application or to add any AI strategy or solution to it, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help you and support you and with you throughout the process. Thank you everyone.